Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we're going to be talking about News Tower. This is an early access indie game where you run a newspaper. It's a Tycoon game, so there's not too much story into it, but it's got kind of a cool setting and there's some stuff in it that I really like. If you actually play the introduction, then you'll get a little bit of a story about how your father immigrated to the United States along with your uncle. They started a newspaper, and basically it's gone downhill from there. The mob are after them. They've got loans piling up, and it's up to you to kind of save their newspaper. That's the basic story in the introduction. If you skip that, then you're just running a newspaper in New York in the 1930s. And yeah, you get to see a lot of the historical events that take place during that period. It's pretty cool to see. The core gameplay is pretty simple. You've got investigators that find stories in the United States. There's also an international aspect to this, so if you get far enough into the game, you can branch out into Europe and other parts of the world. But for right now, let's just stick with the US. You have investigators, they find stories that are either, crime themed, politics, economics, society, entertainment, sports, that sort of thing. And then you send your reporters out to, write the story for those. From there, they go to the people who are going to type everything up and put it into a nice little article that you can slap into your newspaper. So far, each page has 3 slots, so 3 stories per page. And you can try to combine these as best you can to have a page that's just politics, one that's just economics, one that's crime, that sort of thing. You'll get certain perks by doing this, so you'll get more readers if you have, one page dedicated to each theme. It's not always possible, but that's kind of what you want to aim for. The newspapers have to run every week, so you've got 7 days to get all your stories together, get everything researched, and then assemble your newspaper on the last day. You can also get advertisements, and there are also some specialty reporters that you can get. So there'll be somebody who does the stock report, somebody who does, the baseball scores, that sort of thing. You also have, as far as I've gotten into it, 3 people who will give you kind of missions to go on. So you can do a certain mission for the mob where they'll want stories about what they're doing in the newspaper, or the mayor might want you to not run any crime ads that week or crime stories that week. Or the society people, they'll want you to do entertainment for a week or something like that. You'll also try to branch out into different sections of New York, and those different sections are kind of excited about certain stories. So you might want to try to research, a gruesome story, or something that's educational or informative, or something like that. You can also end up pissing off people in this. So you might get protested, you might get lawsuits filed against you, or the mob might send goons over to smash up your place. That's where some of the utility people come in. You'll have a guy whose job it is to go fix everything up and keep things running. You'll have another person who's supposed to get paper for your printing machines and everything else. You have somebody who's just dedicated to cleaning the toilets, and another person who's just there to clean the place up. You kind of need to do this delicate dance where you're trying to please all of your employees so that they'll keep doing a good job for you. Even though it's pretty easy to just fire and replace them, it's kind of odd. You can also get little perks that make each of them do their job a little bit better, or research certain stories better. There's a lot going on, and it's a pretty cool game. It does get very cluttered, and I'll talk a little bit about that when I get into the graphics. Overall, the graphics look perfectly fine. It's not anything spectacular, but it doesn't really need to be. It's a very nice looking Tycoon game. But when you get further into the game, It gets very cluttered because you don't really have a whole lot of space on each floor, so you kind of need to move things around and jam things into places. It gets very complicated, especially later in the game where you have so many reporters. You need to try to find one that's not doing as well so you can get rid of them. You need to find space for everything. Like when you get security guards, you need to find spaces for them. When you get more pages for your newspaper, you need to find space for just all of the printing presses that go into it. It can get very busy on the screen, especially later in the games when your building is like 8 stories tall, and you just kind of lose track of who's where and what's going on. Especially if you need to fire somebody, it can be kind of a pain in the butt to find them. However, you do get a lot of just visual and audio cues for when something is happening. There'll be a little ding whenever you need to go to the globe to, send somebody off on a story. It's pretty easy to tell who is specialized in what. It's not that bad, but again, it gets very busy later on. You'll also end up running out of space for your newspaper as points, and it is a fun game, but it takes a little while to just get a hang of everything that's happening. It'll be really cool to see what the developers do with this, like where they want this game to actually go, because you do have a few opportunities to really control the direction of your newspaper and what you want it to do, and you do have to still satisfy all of the needs of the people who are, loyal to your newspaper and that sort of thing. It can also be kind of hard to gather up the needed, I guess it's influence, in order to get some of the more specialty things. It took me a while to get like illustrators and photographers into this, and while it is cool to see them there, it doesn't really translate to the newspaper itself, which I guess I can kind of understand that because it's still in the 1930s, that's the whole setting, but it would be nice to see a little bit more, more of a visual flair to the newspaper the farther you go on. It'll also be kind of cool to see just how the international stuff really, fleshes out and all that stuff. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.